The millionaire's son saw a Maid'S Bruises. What he did next will shock you forever. The grand mansion loomed like a fortress against the darkening sky, its marble columns glimmering under the intermittent flashes of lightning. Inside, a world of opulence masked a brewing storm, a maelstrom of whispers and secrets. The air crackled with tension as Jason, the millionaire's son, paced the expansive hallway, his heart pounding in rhythm with the thunder outside. Glimpses of a haunting figure caught his eye. It was Maria, the maid, her usually bright eyes now clouded, her skin mottled with bruises that told stories of pain more harrowing than any words could express. What had happened to her? Jason's mind raced. He was no stranger to privilege, yet the sight of her trembling form stirred a deep swell of anger and empathy within him. He was about to turn back when he noticed a flicker of movement, a shadow in the corner. It was Mr. Caldwell, his father, whose stern expression sent chills down Jason's spine. The old man was known for his ruthless business dealings. Did he have something to do with Maria's suffering? The pieces of this puzzle were scattered, and Jason felt an urgent pull to uncover the truth. As the storm raged outside, so did the tempest inside Jason's heart. He could hear voices, low and conspiratorial, servants whispering in hushed tones behind closed doors. What did they know? Were they afraid? The tension thickened in the air like fog, smothering him in a blanket of disquiet. Jason's hands clenched into fists. He had to act. But how? Every minute felt like a lifetime as he plotted his next move, his mind racing with thoughts of courage and compassion, his blood thrumming with adrenaline. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just then, a piercing scream erupted from the kitchen, a sound so raw it shattered the facade of wealth and comfort surrounding him. Jason's heart raced. Was it Maria? He dashed down the hallway, his instincts kicking in as he threw open the kitchen door. The scene that unfolded left him frozen in shock. Maria stood cornered, tears streaming down her face, while Mr. Caldwell loomed over her, rage and fury etched into his features. The air vibrated with fear. Jason's pulse quickened. This was a moment that could alter everything. Should he step in? What if he made things worse? And then, he decided. In that moment, he would not only be a witness, he would be a savior. But would it be enough? The walls felt like they were closing in as he took a breath, the weight of destiny resting heavy on his shoulders. Would he manage to change the course of both their lives, or would he simply deepen the darkness that surrounded them? The next steps would define him forever. Jason's heart pounded violently against his chest as he took a cautious step into the kitchen. Maria's sobs filled the air, wrapping around him like a vice grip of despair. Mr. Caldwell stood towering over her, rage dripping from every syllable as he shouted words Jason couldn't fully comprehend. It felt wrong, so wrong every instinct screamed for him to intervene. "Don't you dare speak to me like that!" Caldwell bellowed, his voice like thunder crashing against the walls. Maria flinched, her body shrinking back as if she could somehow merge into the shadows. Just seeing her tremble ignited a fire in Jason, one fueled by years of silent rebellion against the injustices that lived behind the mansion's gilded walls. "Stop!" The word erupted from Jason, breaking through the electric tension like a gunshot. Caldwell's head snapped around, eyes narrowing like slits as he faced his son. The surprise on his father's face quickly twisted into a dangerous mix of irritation and disbelief. "Stay out of this, Jason," Caldwell growled, his voice low and threatening. "You don't understand what you're meddling in." "Oh, I understand plenty," Jason shot back, taking another bold step forward. "You can't do this to her. You can't do this to anybody." Caldwell's lip curled, and for a brief moment, Jason caught a flicker of confusion in his father's eyes, as if he were recalibrating a predator caught off guard. Maria remained silent but squeezed her eyes shut, a fresh wave of tears spilling over. For her, Jason had become a lifeline, and it solidified his determination. "I'm calling the police," he declared, pulling out his phone, feeling the weight of that decision. He could almost hear the electric buzz of opportunity and risk. What if he did this? What if he didn't? Everyone always said money talked, but what if it just silenced the cries of the innocent? No. Mr. Caldwell charged forward, grabbing Jason's phone with a fierce grip. "You really don't know what you're doing. You'll ruin everything we've built." His desperation was palpable, a heartbeat away from violence. "Maybe it's time for everything to fall apart," Jason shot back defiantly, wrestling his phone free from his father's grasp. In the back of his mind, he knew he could be throwing away his entire life, but right now, it felt smaller than the weight of Maria's suffering. With trembling hands, he dialed the number. Every ring felt like a drumbeat marking the end of silence and the beginning of turmoil. But suddenly, the back door swung open, the howling wind pushing it ajar. A dark figure slipped through, the kind of presence that sent an unsettling chill racing down Jason's spine. It was George, the house manager, with a face that screamed warnings. "Stop. You need to leave now." George's eyes shot to Caldwell, then back to Jason. Just like that, he injected a new layer of dread into the air, thickening the tension surrounding them. What did he know? What danger loomed over them that none of them had seen yet? "Who do you think you are?" Caldwell spat, frustration splattering across his words. Ignoring his father, Jason felt a sickness rise in him, a madness sparked by the urgency of the moment. The police were coming, but would they be able to handle Caldwell's influence? Maria looked at Jason, fear swirling in her desperate eyes, and he realized they were standing on a precipice. As a siren began to wail in the distance, Jason didn't know who or what would come crashing down first: his family's name, his father's empire, or the fragile hope he'd ignited in this broken woman. Would saving her mean destroying everything he'd ever known? The walls of the mansion seemed to echo every question haunting his thoughts as Jason prepared to confront the darkness closing in around them. Would he have the courage to face the truths that had remained buried for so long? The truth that might change everything forever? Jason's pulse raced as he stood at the edge of a treacherous cliff, the weight of his choices overwhelming. The sirens wailed, creeping closer, yet the urgency was eclipsed by the eerie stillness of the room. George's warning echoed in his mind. What could he possibly know that could change everything? "Jason, we have to go," George urged, his voice strained, casting wary glances at Caldwell, who was now simmering with barely contained fury. "No." The word burst from Jason's lips, raw with defiance. "I'm not leaving her." His gaze shot to Maria, hope and terror swirling behind her tear-filled eyes. It was as if time hung suspended in that moment, the world outside falling away. "You're making a monumental mistake," Caldwell hissed, his fists clenched. "You have no idea what could happen. You think the police will save you? This is not just some petty affair, it's much bigger than you think." A shiver ran down Jason's spine. He felt the truth of his father's words, heavy and ominous, but courage trumped fear. "I'd rather face whatever it is than turn my back on her." In that instant, George glanced over his shoulder, anxiety drifting across his features. "They're not just coming for a domestic dispute. There are secrets, dark secrets that powerful people will do anything to protect." Jason's heart skipped a beat. "What secrets?" The question spilled from his lips, a yearning for answers spiraling into the chaos. "Things about your mother and the circumstances surrounding her death." George's voice dropped, as if speaking that last word summoned dark memories that permeated the air. "What do you mean?" Jason's stomach twisted. Death? Was this something that had been lurking in the shadows of his life all along, waiting for the perfect time to claw its way into the light? You need to leave, Jason, before it's too late, George pressed, desperation seeping into his tone. Caldwell stepped forward, eyes blazing like a predator. You don't want to dig into the past, son. Believe me when I say it's safer to forget these things. No. The word slammed against Caldwell's arrogance. I deserve to know the truth about everything, about you. I'm not afraid anymore. With sudden determination that seemed to electrify the air, he held his phone. The police are on their way, and they'll hear everything. I'll tell them what I know. Maria gasped softly, and Caldwell's face contorted with rage. You think they'll help you? They'll do whatever it takes to shut you up. Your mother, her name, don't you get it? You could lose everything. Jason's mind raced. Everything? What did Caldwell think was left to lose? As panic surged, the sirens crescendoed outside. The distant lights flashed through the kitchen window, illuminating the grim faces surrounding him. Listen to George. Caldwell's voice cut like ice, filled with urgency. You're walking into a trap. Then I'll face it, Jason replied, heart hammering in his chest. With her. I won't stand by and let another innocent person suffer because of you. But precise dread painted itself across Maria's face, a trembling fear that reached deep into Jason. The world around him was about to spin out of control. Suddenly, the front door swung open. Officers, stern and resolute, stepped into the chaos, glinting badges in hand. Their faces carved in suspicion and authority. The air shifted as Caldwell straightened, masking his fury behind a veneer of calm. Officers, he said, a chilling smile curving his lips. What brings you here? The intensity coiled tighter, and Jason knew this was just the beginning. The mansion, once a place of comfort, now loomed like a fragile trap, ready to snap shut. He had exposed the skeletons in the closet, but could he withstand the fallout? Everyone in the room held their breath as the officers began to piece together the chaotic puzzle. Jason's resolve hardened. No matter the cost, he would uncover the truth. But behind the glittering facades of power and wealth, a new danger lurked, one that could shatter everything. What had George known that could change his life forever? Would the truth be worth the risk, or would it lead them all into a darkness deeper than they could imagine? Jason stood frozen, the tension in the air palpable. The officers exchanged wary glances, the chaos around them threatening to overwhelm their professionalism. Caldwell's icy demeanor remained intact, but Jason could see the flicker of panic glazing his eyes. He was unraveling, and this moment could tip the scale. Where's the noise coming from? One of the officers, a tall man with a chiseled jaw and a hard glare, demanded, stepping deeper into the room. His partner glanced at Maria, who was trembling like a leaf caught in a storm. It's nothing. Caldwell interjected quickly, though his voice held a nervous edge. Just a misunderstanding, but Jason cut him off. No, it's not nothing. He felt each heartbeat thud against his ribs. It's everything. They're here for a reason. He took a step forward, eyes fixed on the officers, desperation overpowering his fear. I need to tell you what's been happening here. Caldwell's face darkened, and for the first time, anger bled through his composed facade. Don't be a fool, Jason. His voice dripped with menace, a soft threat laced with venom. You have no idea what you're inviting. But it was too late for caution. Jason's mind raced. This house, this family, it was built on lies. He could no longer hide in the shadows. With each breath, his resolve grew. Maria deserves better. She deserves to be heard. The officers exchanged puzzled looks, confusion mixing with concern as they watched the unfolding drama. Step aside, son, the tall officer said, stepping forward, arms crossed and brows furrowed. Let us get some order to this. No. Jason's voice rose, gaining strength. You don't understand. Caldwell is involved in something much darker. My mother, she was murdered, and he knows why. Tension exploded in the room. Caldwell's mouth opened, a snarl barely contained. Do not speak of things you know nothing about. Rage ignited in his eyes, and Jason felt a chill race down his spine. What makes you think I want to drag you back down to the depths you crawled out from? Caldwell taunted, his tone chilling. You'd be wise to stay silent. I want to. Before Jason could finish, the other officer intervened. Everyone, calm down. We're here to get to the bottom of this. He stepped between Caldwell and Jason, holding up a hand to maintain the peace. Suddenly, the lights flickered, the tension pulsing thick, and Jason felt an ominous ripple in the air. A noise echoed from somewhere deep in the mansion, like a frayed wire, barely keeping it all together. The officers turned to each other, and Jason's heart dropped. Police! The officer shouted, his voice slicing through the nervous energy. If anyone else is here, you need to come out now. The silence was deafening, broken only by an unseen rustle from the shadows. From the corner of his eye, Jason caught a movement. A figure slipped past the doorway, disappearing down the hall. Did you see that? His voice wavered, fear creeping into his tone. See what? The officer asked, eyes narrowing with suspicion, glancing around, but it was too late. A realization struck Jason like a slap. Someone else was in the house, someone who had been lurking, waiting in the shadows, and they might know secrets that would change everything. Why wouldn't they come forward? The question twisted uncomfortably in his mind. What was this place hiding? As Caldwell's composure wavered, a clock ticked ominously in the background, marking moments of tension that felt endless. To unravel one thread meant risking everything, a truth lurking just out of reach, hiding in the dark. Jason. Maria grabbed his arm, her touch sending a jolt of clarity through him. We need to go. There's something very wrong here. He nodded, feeling the weight of her fear. But their escape was blocked by more than just Caldwell's fury. It was an unseen force, lurking, watching. Jason's heart raced. What had he disturbed? What lay ahead was no longer just about him or Maria, it was bigger, more dangerous, with secrets buried beneath layers of deceit. With every heartbeat, he could sense that the truth was close, but at what cost? What if? The real danger was not just Caldwell, but something far more sinister was coming, ready to strike. Jason's pulse quickened as he felt Maria's grip tighten on his arm. The air thickened with a sense of urgency that pushed them toward the door, yet both of them remained frozen, trapped between Caldwell's looming threat and the mysterious shadow that slipped away down the hall. Fear hung heavy in the dimly lit room, creating a palpable energy that crackled around them. Don't move. The tall officer commanded, his voice rising above the tension as he prepared to confront whatever danger lurked ahead. He exchanged a look with his partner, a silent agreement crackling in the air. Caldwell's facade seemed to slip further as he shifted uncomfortably. You don't want to do this, he warned, his voice low and dangerous. But the fear evident in his eyes contradicted his bravado. Maria's breath trembled, and Jason could feel her body shake against his. If we don't get out now, she trailed off, a horror dawning in her eyes that echoed the uncertainty gripping his chest. The officer took a step forward, shining his flashlight into the black void of the corridor. The beam sliced through the darkness, revealing only eerie patterns on the walls, but Jason could feel something sinister simmering beneath the surface. We just need to check it out. Officer, safety first. As he moved cautiously toward the hall, Jason's instinct screamed for action. No. We need to find another way. He stepped up beside the officer, desperation coating his words. If there's someone else in here, we shouldn't be splitting up. We should stick together. Jason, don't, Maria started, but the officer cut her off. We've got to cover all areas. This is critical. He didn't wait for further discussion. The other officer followed him, flashlights bobbing as they moved into the unknown. Jason's heart raced. Each passing second felt like an hour. He could almost hear the ticking of the clock intensifying, mirroring his swelling dread. "Caldwell, what are you hiding? Whatever is going on here doesn't involve just us," he pressed, seeking an answer as the world around them began to darken with uncertainty. With an icy glare, Caldwell leaned in close, his breath sharp. "You're playing a dangerous game, boy. You think you understand? You know nothing about this place, about me or them." Something behind them shifted, a sound barely audible beneath Caldwell's threat, and Jason spun around. The officer had disappeared around the corner, leaving behind an inch of darkness that felt alive, pulsating with a hidden danger. "Maria," he said, his voice barely more than a whisper, "we have to go now." "No," she breathed, eyes wide with terror, motioning toward the shadows. "I think we need to see what's back there." Jason hesitated, caught in a struggle between fleeing and unearthing the dark secrets that seemed to haunt this place. He glanced back at Caldwell, whose smugness had returned, but fear still twitched beneath the surface. Before he could articulate his uncertainty, the air crackled again, and a soft thud echoed from deeper inside the mansion. It was impossibly close, like a heartbeat they could all sense but not see. "Jason," Maria urged, an edge to her voice that made him turn. "There's something out there." Suddenly, the lights flickered fiercely, and the shadows danced wildly. In that chaotic moment, Jason made a decision. "Let us confront what's hiding in the dark," he said, his voice hardening with resolve. As they stepped toward the hallway, a chilling laugh split the air. It echoed around them, sinister and mocking. The sound sent goosebumps racing up Jason's arms. They weren't alone. That much was clear. He felt Maria shift beside him, fear and determined defiance both rooting them to the spot. "Maybe we're wrong," she whispered, but deep down they both knew, there was no turning back now. What lay ahead could expose the truth, or it could crush everything. As they ventured into the shadows, they had one glaring thought: was it too late to turn back? But something darker was indeed coming for them, lurking just out of sight, waiting to pounce. Jason and Maria stepped into the darkness, their hearts racing as the world around them swallowed them whole. The air felt humid, thick with an unshakable tension that made every breath a struggle. Shadows played tricks, curling around corners and making the walls seem alive, trembling with unseen threats. "Stay close," Jason murmured, gripping Maria's hand tighter. He could feel the warmth of her skin against his, a small comfort amid the looming dread. They moved slowly, each creak of the old floorboard sounding like a scream in the suffocating blackness. A musty smell enveloped them, a cocktail of mildew and something more disturbing like decay. With every step forward, Jason's instincts screamed at him to turn back, but he couldn't abandon Maria. "Do you hear that?" Maria whispered, her voice trembling. Jason nodded, straining to listen above the pounding of his heart. A soft rustling came from deeper within the corridor. It was faint but distinct, something skittering across the floor, too fast and erratic. Every muscle in Jason's body tensed. We should go back," he stammered, wanting to reverse course but knowing they had crossed an invisible line. As if reading his thoughts, the chilling laughter echoed again, this time closer, more menacing. It slithered into their minds, worming beneath their skin. Jason felt Maria's grip tighten, her fingers digging in with a fierce desperation. "Jason," she breathed, her breath hitching. "What if it's true? What if something is waiting for us, something dangerous?" He opened his mouth to respond, but a crashing sound erupted behind them, startling them both. The officers. They had to be close. The rush of adrenaline pushed Jason into action. "We can't let them face whatever this is alone." He turned, pulling Maria with him, racing back toward the previous room. But as they turned the corner, a shadow blocked their path, a hulking figure shrugging off the faint light like a cloak. Caldwell stood there, a dark silhouette against the flickering bulb. "You will regret this," he hissed, eyes shimmering with malice. "You have no idea what you're up against. Move!" Jason shouted, urgency rolling off him in waves. They had to pass Caldwell. For a moment, it seemed like he would allow them through, but the malevolent smile that curled on his lips did not disappear. Just then, a loud crash echoed again from behind, and Jason felt a knot of dread settle in his stomach. What if it was too late? Jason! Maria gasped behind him, the terror in her voice cutting deeper than the fear already burrowing inside him. Caldwell stepped closer, blocking their escape. You are out of your depth. This mansion has secrets, dark ones. You were never meant to find them. The air around them vibrated with an energy that felt alive, crackling with electricity and danger. Jason looked around wildly for an escape. Behind them, the sound of footsteps grew louder, an irregular shuffle that made the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Move, now! He barked at Maria, but she was rooted in place, eyes darting between Caldwell and the growing shadows behind him. The officer had not returned. Wait! Maria's voice trembled, eyes wide with disbelief as a new sound erupted, a low, throaty growl that made Jason's blood freeze. It was coming from the shadows, not more than a few steps away. Get back! Jason shouted, shoving Maria aside as he prepared to confront whatever lay beyond the clutches of the dark. Caldwell stepped back, the mocking smile replaced with a look of fear. Just as Jason took a step toward the growling sound, the lights above flickered again, plunging them into complete darkness for a heart-stopping second. What is that? Maria cried as the room exploded into chaos. Jason's body moved on instinct, but he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever they would find would shake the very core of their reality. He stepped forward as the growling intensified, determined to face the truth head-on. A figure lunged from the shadows, teeth bared and snarling. In that split second of horror, Jason realized they were in far deeper than he could have ever imagined, and there was no way out, at least not without uncovering the most terrifying secrets of all. What awaited them? They had to know. But was it too late? As the creature descended upon him, Jason understood, they had crossed the threshold, and now they could never return. The air exploded with a cacophony of growls and snarls, sending Jason's pulse racing. His instincts screamed danger, yet still he stepped forward. In the blink of an eye, the weight of the creature loomed close, and Jason could make out the glint of sharp teeth illuminated briefly by the flickering light. Maria screamed, a sound that cut through the chaos like a knife. Jason whirled around, heart in his throat, just in time to see Caldwell's shocked expression before the hulking figure lunged at them. In a flash, he became both prey and protector, embodying all the desperate courage he never knew he had. Run! He shouted, pushing Maria forcefully toward a nearby doorway that led deeper into the mansion's dark heart. That he didn't have time to think about anything but her safety as he moved to intercept the creature. It was a wild beast, all sleek fur and furious energy, launching itself at him with jaws gaping. Jason ducked just in time, the air rushing past him as he narrowly avoided the snapping teeth. The raw power behind the beast was palpable, a force of nature that sent a shiver straight through his bones. Jason! Please! Maria's voice cracked as she stood frozen, the door looming open behind her, but her feet cemented to the floor in a cocktail of terror and disbelief. He had to act. He couldn't let fear dictate their fate any longer. With every ounce of adrenaline coursing through him, Jason grabbed an old wooden chair flung against the wall and swung it at the approaching beast. The chair splintered upon impact, wood fragments flying as the creature yelped, momentarily thrown off balance. Seizing the moment, he grabbed Maria's wrist and yanked her toward the doorway. Now! He practically begged, his voice hoarse and urgent. They stumbled through the opening, barely avoiding a second charge from the monster. Jason slammed the door shut behind them and propped a nearby table against it, breathless and frantic. They stood silent for a heartbeat, catching their breath, the distant growls still echoing in their minds. Jason turned to Maria, concern pounding in his chest. Are you okay? Did it hurt you? She shook her head, her face pale and shocked. No. I am all right. But he could see the fear glimmering in her eyes, the way her hands trembled. What was that thing? I don't know, but we can't stay here. Jason pulled her deeper into the unlit room, the furniture shrouded in shadows. He felt like they were suffocating in darkness, uncertainty pressing down on them like a heavy weight. Do you think the officers are safe? Maria's voice wavered, the question hanging in the air and slicing through the dread. As he hesitated, the growling suddenly morphed into something chilling, piercing yells followed by the unmistakable sounds of struggle drifting through the thin walls. Jason's heart sank. They were in danger, all of them. Caldwell's warning about the mansion's secrets echoed in his mind. Wait, Jason demanded, a thought igniting in his mind. If Caldwell was trying to warn us, maybe he knows more. But the sense of their predicament was unbearable. The air thickened, almost tangible with the heavy dread that enveloped them. A flash of determination ignited within him. They had to uncover the truth, before he could voice his thoughts. The door they barricaded rattled violently, accompanied by an ominous howl. The creature outside became enraged, thrashing against the door. Jason, Maria whispered, no longer shielding fear but pure terror. He turned to her, his eyes meeting hers in the dim light, understanding that there would be no turning back. They needed to confront whatever lurked in the shadows. As the door shook violently, an unsettling revelation struck him. What if this mansion isn't just a trap? What if it's a prison for something worse? A new sound rose above the chaos, a low chant whispering from the darkness beyond the door, a call to something ancient and malevolent. What is that? Maria gasped, fear flooding her voice. Jason felt the ground shift beneath him. As he gripped Maria's hand tighter, the walls trembled in response to the horror unfolding outside. The air crackled, charged with energy. Whatever it is, it's not just hunting us. He could sense it, the inescapable truth that whatever they uncovered here would change everything. Just then, the door exploded off its hinges, flinging splinters everywhere. The creature stood in the opening, eyes glowing like embers in an inferno. The curtain of chaos lifted, revealing their ultimate confrontation. As it snarled, ready to pounce, a different kind of fear took hold of Jason, a menacing realization that they might not be there to face it. The darkness swirled around them like a storm, whispering ancient secrets of terror. And in that terrifying moment, Jason understood, what awaited them was more than just survival. It was a revelation that could very well shatter their world forever. But the question loomed larger than the beast itself: would they uncover the truth, or merely become lost in its depths? As the creature lunged, Jason braced himself for impact, knowing that some truths are far worse than monsters. Jason threw himself to the side, adrenaline fueling every movement. The creature lunged past him, its momentum crashing into the wall. The force rattled the dusty portraits hanging there, their eyes seeming to witness the violence unfurling in the dim room. "Maria, we have to find something to defend ourselves," he shouted, scrambling to his feet. He could feel the heat radiating from the beast, an intoxicating mix of fear and fury. Maria's breath was shallow as she searched their surroundings, eyes wide in terror. She finally spotted a rusted iron candlestick on a table and snatched it up. She held it like a lifeline, the flickering light of the candles casting eerie shadows across her face. As Jason came to stand beside her, the creature recovered, its eyes narrowing as it studied them. Low growls rolled from its throat, deep and threatening. They were no longer trapped, they were cornered. "What do we do?" Maria breathed, voice almost a whisper. He took a calculated breath, couplings of desperation and determination swirling in his gut. "We push forward. There must be another way out." With the candlestick tightly gripped in her hand, Maria nodded, and they both took a tentative step toward the only other exit, the massive oak door at the far end of the room. It was like a countdown ticking in the air, crackling with energy, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last. The creature moved closer, its posture shifting from defense to attack. Jason could feel the tension in the air, it was palpable, electric. The growling intensified, wrapping around them like a noose. "Come on!" he shouted, turning abruptly to make a break for the door. Maria was hot on his heels, fear driving her forward. They dashed across the room, breaking past the shadows that seemed to curl and reach toward them as they fled, but the beast wasn't far behind. Jason shoved hard against the door, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. It resisted at first, the heavy wood groaning as he pushed. Just as he thought they could break free, the creature barreled past him, crashing into the door. Wood splintered under the overwhelming force, sending a jolt of agony coursing through him. "Move!" he yelled, shoving Maria out of the way. Struggling to maintain his footing, he twisted the door handle desperately. And then it swung open, they burst outside, spilling into a narrow hallway lined with portraits of previous occupants, their eyes trailing the newcomers with a mix of curiosity and judgment. Jason glanced back, the rush of adrenaline and horror mingling in his veins. The creature paused in the doorway, its silhouette framed by the dim light within, growling voraciously. "What now?" Maria gasped, her gaze darting around. At the end of the hall loomed an ornate staircase leading down into darkness, a swirling void beckoning them to plunge deeper into the mansion. Jason's instincts screamed against it. What lay below could be worse than the creature. But escaping the beast's wrath was their only goal right now. "We go down," Jason decided, voice firm despite the fear gripping him. They sprinted towards the staircase, the wood creaking ominously beneath their feet, echoing like a heartbeat growing louder with each step. "Oh God," Maria whispered, halting as they reached the edge of the descent. The air grew colder, an eerie chill wrapping around them like a shroud. "What if we get lost down there?" "Then we fight," Jason replied sharply, trying to sound braver than he felt. But just as they made the first cautious step into the abyss below, a strange noise echoed from beneath an ancient rumble, mixed with soft whispers that seemed to beckon them further down into the unknown. "What is that?" Maria asked, her voice trembling now as they both leaned into the shadows, feeling the depth of the darkness swallow them. The whispers grew louder, seeming to dance around them, wrapping secrets in shrouded terms that tugged at Jason's very core. A sick feeling twisted in his stomach. This was no ordinary mansion, it felt alive, hungry, before he could process the sudden swell of dread. A sharp yelp echoed from above, startling them both. The creature. It had broken free. "Go! We have to move!" Jason shouted, grabbing Maria's hand tight as they rushed down the stairs into the waiting unknown. As they plunged into the darkness, one thing was clear. The true nightmare was just beginning and they wouldn't be alone for long. What awaited them at the bottom was a mystery that sent shivers down Jason's spine, igniting a fear that was both primal and profound. "Do you feel that?" Maria whispered, her eyes wide with terror. "Feel what?" But he already knew. The air vibrated with anticipation, carrying the weight of a great secret yet to be revealed. What darkness awaited them below? Would they uncover secrets that mankind was never meant to discover? With their breaths quickening, Jason and Maria descended deeper into the musty gloom of the staircase. The wood creaked underfoot, the sound almost dwarfed by the rush of their own heartbeats. Shadows flickered around them like whispers of forgotten souls. Panic was a living thing, crawling along Jason's skin as they moved forward into the darkness. "Jason! What if we run into something else?" Maria's voice trembled, uncertainty coating her words. "It'll be better than whatever that thing is," he replied, tightening his grip around her hand. "We can't stay up there." The smell of damp earth mingled with a faint scent of decay as they reached the bottom. The darkness was almost oppressive, wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. Once their feet hit the ground, they stood still for a moment, trying to adjust their eyes to the pitch black. A distant noise echoed, a low, grating sound, like ancient stone shifting. Jason squinted into the abyss, hoping to catch a glimpse of their surroundings. The air was thick and cold, but a different sense of dread hung heavy with each passing moment. "Jason, if we can find a way out," Maria started, her voice barely above a whisper. "First, let us find a light," Jason said, pulling her forward. He could feel his own pulse thrumming in sync with the shadows lurking around them. They moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled against the floor that felt oddly slick beneath them. As they ventured deeper into the unknown, faint flickers of light danced along the periphery of their vision. They approached a space illuminated by the feeble glow of bioluminescent fungi clinging to the damp walls. An unsettling beauty, like ethereal stars, painted the cavern in shades of blue and green. "Wow," Maria said, awestruck for a fleeting moment. "It's beautiful." "Yeah, but we need to keep moving," Jason reminded her. The creature was still pursuing them, lurking above, its growls echoing like a haunting lullaby. They pressed on with new resolve, but unease clawed at Jason. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. There was something else here, hiding in the corners, something patient and predatory. As they turned the corner, the passage opened into a vast chamber. The sight before them was stunning, but the beauty quickly shattered by its foreboding nature. Stone altars jutted from the ground, their surfaces littered with bones and objects he couldn't identify, dolls with cracked porcelain faces, rusted trinkets, and bizarre mementos that screamed of lost histories. "Jason, why are there bones?" Maria stammered, biting her lip as she noticed more than a few looked like they had once been human. A shiver ran down her spine as she stepped back instinctively. "This place, it feels wrong." His voice dropped to a harsh whisper. They were at the heart of the mansion's dark secrets. Suddenly, from the shadows, a figure emerged. It was cloaked, its features obscured, but an aura of immense power radiated from it. The whispers they'd heard earlier crescendoed, echoing around them, almost alive. "Welcome, I've been waiting for you," the figure hissed, the voice layered with an unsettling melody. Jason's heart raced. "What do you want with us?" he demanded, fear fueling his bravado. "Your souls," the figure hissed, lunging forward. In a surge of adrenaline, Jason grabbed Maria's hand tightly, instinctively pulling her away. They sprinted back down the corridor, terror coiling like a serpent in his gut. The chase took on a life of its own as the chamber echoed with the sound of their exodus, pursued by the sinister whisper of the figure lurking behind. "Don't look back. Just run," Jason yelled, their shoes pounding against the cold stone floor as they fled deeper into the darkness. But before they could find a way out, they heard a low growl resonating through the passageway, louder and more ferocious than before. It wasn't just the original creature that was hunting them. An oppressive darkness had begun to close in around them, tightening as they raced against time. The sanctuary of the bioluminescent light had vanished, leaving them isolated in the depths of horror. What other horrors awaited them in the twisted maze of the mansion? What choices would they be forced to make as terror hunted them down? Jason's heart raced, not just for survival, but for the truth that lay hidden in the dark. It was a truth without mercy, and as time ticked on, it loomed closer and closer. The chamber echoed with their panicked breaths as Jason and Maria sprinted through the darkness, a whirlwind of adrenaline driving them deeper into the unknown. Behind them, the sinister figure kept pace, the whispers intensifying like a haunting melody. "They see you," it hissed, voice echoing in the shadowy corridors. "Faster. We have to find a way out," Jason shouted, fear flaring in his chest. They rounded a corner only to find a dead end, walls slick with dampness, closing in on them. Maria clutched his arm, eyes wide with terror. "What do we do now?" Frustration bubbled within him. "Think, Jason. There has to be another way." Urgency clawed at him as he glanced back to see the figure slithering closer, an almost tangible darkness that threatened to envelop them. Turning, he noticed an old door partially concealed by the flickering light of the fungi. "Over there." He pointed, hope igniting within him. They rushed toward it, heart rates pounding louder than any words. As they reached the door, Jason shoved it open with all his strength. Pain shot through his arm as the door creaked in protest, but it swung wide to reveal a spiral staircase leading upward. "Quick!" he yelled, ushering Maria inside. They scrambled up the stairs, desperate to put as much distance between them and the menacing figure as possible. Jason's mind raced with thoughts of escape, but dread slithered like ice shards through his body. Would it ever truly be over? Each step creaked ominously underfoot, and just as they reached the top, Maria let out a soft gasp. "What now?" she whispered, fear tinting her voice. Jason blinked into the dimly lit room. It was a peeling library, filled with bound volumes lined on dust-covered shelves. The atmosphere felt thick and foreboding, a chilling remnant of the dark secrets that permeated the mansion. Yet at the far end hung a large window, moonlight spilling in, casting silvery rays across the room. "That window," he murmured, hope rekindling. "We can break it and climb out." As they moved toward it, footsteps crescendoing below reminded them they weren't safe yet. The whispers carried through the air, angry now, bellowing their forbidden knowledge. "Jason! We need to hurry," Maria urged, her voice shaking that he nodded, scrambling to shove a chair against the window frame. With strength fueled by desperation, he slammed the chair against the glass. The sound shattered the stillness as the glass splintered, rain streaming through the opening. "Help me!" They clawed at the jagged shards, frantically clearing enough space to escape. With one final push, he gripped Maria's waist and hoisted her toward the window. "Go!" She darted out, breathless. Jason was right behind her, adrenaline surging as he clambered into the night air, the taste of freedom sharp on his tongue. They landed on the soft earth outside, the chill of the wind blowing through their hair, as they stumbled to their feet, breathless and filled with shock. "Did we make it?" Maria breathed, looking around as the mansion loomed behind them, ominous and still. "Yes, we're free," Jason reassured, but doubt nagged at him. The nightmare felt far from over. He turned back to face the mansion, just as the door below burst open. The shadowy figure hovered at the entrance, silhouetted against the moonlight. "You cannot escape the truth," it howled, voice a weaving of shadow and malice. Jason's heart raced at the weight of those words. Secrets swirled like a storm, trapped within those walls, threads that had once tangled his family together now threatening to tear them apart. "We will expose you," Jason shouted defiantly, gripping Maria's hand tightly as they turned to escape into the night. They ran forward, urgency propelling them beyond the mansion's confines. Behind them, the figure's anguished screams resonated, reverberating with the darkness it held. Jason wasn't sure what would happen next, but he realized he had to confront the truths that had haunted him, not just behind the mansion walls, but within himself. Finally, they reached the edge of the property, the sprawling grounds, stretching like a lifeline. As they crossed into freedom, they were met by flashing lights and the distant sound of sirens. Help had arrived. Breathless and alive, Jason squeezed Maria's hand in reassurance. Together, they would reveal the hidden truths, unearthing the darkness that had plagued their lives. They were free now, but their journey to uncover the truth was just beginning. As the police swarmed the mansion, apprehending Caldwell and the darkness hiding within, a sense of resolve washed over Jason. The shadows, once suffocating, now faded away, leaving only him and Maria facing a future filled with possibility and light. "Ready?" he whispered to her, hope blooming anew. She nodded, their hearts beating in unison as they stepped forward into the dawn together. This was their moment, and they would change everything starting now. You need to subscribe now and be part of the journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this all ties together. And don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let us uncover more exclusive stories and unravel the mysteries ahead.